Good afternoon, everybody. Hope you are all doing well to start off your weekend. And we've got a little bit of news, nothing huge, but a little bit different than what we were originally told. So I do want to talk about this because every little indication we get about where this team is headed matters, especially right now when we're all trying to figure out what's going on at quarterback, what's going on at on the defense, what's going on with this coaching staff. There's a lot of stuff going on right now that we need to decipher. So I like to try at least to decipher everything that we learn. Real quick before I get into the data here, though, I want to remind everybody tonight is the 12,000 sub celebration stream. Going to start at about 7 p.m. Pacific. The stream is already posted up. It's going to go live right around 7 o'clock. We're going to run for like 3 or 4 hours, and we're going to be talking about Seahawks stuff like we usually do. It's going to be a relatively normal Seahawks stream. I've linked up the stream so that donations go directly to St. Jude Hospital for the research hospital. So the charity, the fundraiser part of the stream is all set up. All you got to do is go and click the donate button, and donations go directly to the St. Jude cause. So that is going to be a lot of fun. And hey, again, thank you for getting me to the point where I can do something like this. So if you're going to be available tonight, try to stop by at least for a little bit. We're going to talk Seahawks stuff. We're going to talk free agency, going to talk these extensions, can talk draft stuff. But obviously, at the end of the day, we're celebrating 12K and we're doing a fundraiser for St. Jude. So hope to see you there. Starts at 7 Pacific, 10 Eastern. If you are in another time zone, you can probably figure it out from there. Okay, so we got the Nick Bellore contract details, and normally I wouldn't necessarily make a video about this, but the details, the exact breakdown of the contract is a little bit different than what we were told initially, and I think it changes the context a little bit, so I want to briefly go over this. There isn't a whole lot to talk about right now anyway, so why not? So the contract is what we thought it was, 2 years, 6.6. The difference, however, the wrinkle is that originally reported from, I think it was Brady Henderson, the first year cap hit was bigger than the second year cap hit. That's not the case. This is actually a fairly normal contract as it turns out. The first year is significantly less than the second year. So let's actually look at the exact breakdown here. 2.6 million the first year, 4 million the second year. So that kind of follows typical contract structuring. The first year, you keep it a little bit on the lower side, and then the second year, or later in the contract, whatever, it blows up a little bit, but it's also something you can easily get out of, and that's kind of what I wanted to talk about here. As you can see, $4 million cap hit in 2024, but the dead cap hit for releasing Nick Bellore next year, $1.15 million. So that is very likely going to happen. You might see a situation where we redo his contract next year, so we don't let him go, but we get him on a cheaper cap hit. Bellore would probably agree to that, by the way. He's not like some super desirable player. Next year he's going to be 35. So this is a way to give him a little bit of long-term security without actually committing to him beyond this year. Because as you can see, Nick Bellore, he's a good player. He does what he does fairly well. But this allows you to keep things kind of year to year with him, right? Like, let's say he goes out there in 2023 and he's not giving you the same value that you were hoping for. Then the next year you can say, okay, we can save almost $3 million by moving on. The cap hit, if we let you go, is going to be trivial, 1.15 million. That's nothing in the grand scheme of things. So if you perform at a really high level, maybe you actually provide value as a fullback, maybe you provide value as a linebacker, then, okay, we've got you for that 4 million cap hit. And if you do add a lot of value in those areas, then hey, 4 million is worth it. But more than likely, what we're going to do is get to that year and say, okay, either we're going to just let you go and you get the 1.15 million for nothing, or we redo the contract to extend it out another year and get the cap hit down, and then you kind of do that in perpetuity over and over and over again until he becomes not worth keeping around anymore. So that makes things a little bit better, I think. So $2.6 million for the first year. It's still, I know that there are going to be people out there who still look at that and go, that's too much for somebody like a Nick Bellore. I don't agree. I think that Nick Bellore is very good at what he does. And while I will admit that what he does is not as valuable as it used to be, it's not. Because so many kickoffs go into the end zone. It's not like what it was 20, 30 years ago. Obviously, that's the case. But there is still value there. The cap is going up at record paces, guys. The cap is like, ooh. So contracts are going to go up. What used to be a guy who would only be worth like $1.5 million is going to now be worth $2 million. The guys who are worth $2 million are going to be worth $2.5 million. That's just how it goes. So, you know, I'm not going to act like this is some amazing contract. It's not. There's nothing amazing about giving Nick Bellore $2.6 million for 2023, but I think it's fine. And when you take a look at exactly the way the contract breaks out, he's probably going to get released or redone next year, depending on how he plays. So there were some people who weren't terribly happy about the deal as it was initially announced. I think this is going to make things a little bit better. $2.6 million. It was originally reported that the first year was going to be like $1 million more than that. I think it was something like 3.75 actually. So this represents a $1.15 million savings in the 2023 cap, I think. Somewhere around there anyway. Not huge, but look, that's one minimum contract. That's an extra $1.25 million you can throw in on a hypothetical Geno extension or Locke extension or whatever else it is that you want to do. So every little bit counts when you're talking about players of this level. And I was okay with the original contract, but I did acknowledge that, like, yeah, I know people are not going to be happy about this, and I can't blame them. I think this is a little bit easier to swallow personally. So, yeah, best guess right now, Bellore is going to be here for $2.6 million 2023, and then 2024, you will either see him released or you will see him extended by 1 year to push the cap hit out. One of the two. So let me know what you guys think. I'm going to continue to say that, look, the issue with the Seahawks is their lack of creativity when it comes to giving out bigger contracts. But I don't really have a problem with them paying a player like a Nick Bellore or a Phil Haynes. It's just those two things in tandem, that's the problem, but I believe the real problem is the lack of creativity. And part of the reason why there's a lack of creativity might be that the owner is plotting a sale. And I think it's become fairly clear at this point that Jody Allen is planning to sell the team in the near future, next few years. And she doesn't want to put a ton of money into escrow unless she absolutely has to. We've talked about this before. That's why, yes, you had to extend Jamal Adams because you traded so much for him. You had to extend DK Metcalf because he played so well that eventually you just have to be like, okay, gotta reward it, gotta go with it. But I don't really have a problem with them doing stuff like this. Like, I think these guys are worth a little bit more than than some people believe. All right, I'll see you guys later. Go Hawks. Stream tonight at 7. Hope to see you there. And go Hawks.